Hello and welcome back to the Dominion video tutorial series. This is Adam Horton and this is the next video in Dominion 201. In this video we're going to talk about finishing up what you're looking for in a kingdom and how you assess what's here and to build your strategy around it. Now, the next thing that I want to look at when I've decided, okay, there's an engine here and here's what it's going to look and feel like, is the big money enablers on the board. You always have to consider how strong your engine's going to be against a strategy that's always available. And if a big money strategy is going to be stronger than your engine, you need to assume that a competent opponent will be playing that strategy instead. So, the way I like to go about it is looking at the board and seeing where the big money enablers are. Now, there's a link in the description that gives you the top big money enablers and how strong they each are. If I'm going to look on this board for big money enablers, the two that jump out at me are Smithy and Monument. If you build a deck that has just two Smithies or two Monuments in it, and then just buy treasure and victory cards, that's a pretty strong deck. So you need to weigh the strength of that deck versus the strength of the engine you're going to build, and see how the big money decks are affected by the attacks you might play, or incorporate attacks that your big money opponent might play against you. This is really going to help you in weighing how good your engine is and see if it's going to beat a big money strategy that's also available. If you can't beat the big money strategy, well then you should probably play the big money strategy. Now, that's the glory of Dominion. You're not locked into an engine. You want to figure out which strategy is best and go with it. Now, the last thing I like to think about is what I like to call path to victory. Specifically, with whatever deck you want to build, you want to think about what are the cool things that I can do with this deck. Now, in a money deck, well, that's an easy question to answer. You're going to generate lots of money with big treasure cards, and you're going to buy provinces. Probably one every turn. But with an engine, the possibilities are a little more open to you. So, what are some examples of the cool things I can do given all of the limitations I've got? Well, cool things you could do will include drawing lots of cards. This is the bread and butter of an engine. You know you're playing an engine when you're drawing a ton of cards, sometimes your entire deck, on each of your turns. Drawing cards means you can play your cards, and playing all of your cards means doing lots of cool stuff on your turn, like attacking your opponent, or attacking your opponent, or getting more buys and playing cards that give you money and then buying multiple provinces in a turn. These are cool things you can do. Another cool thing you can do is score points. This Monument card will give you points just for playing it. So that's certainly a cool thing you can do. That's actually the object of the game. So you don't want to forget about that. So all of these cool things you can do, you want to see what's available. And if the cool things you can do are worth the cost of going for them, well then that's a factor that pushes you towards building an engine. Now, another factor that might push you towards building an engine is the presence of alternative victory points. Something other than the basic stuff you get every game. So let's pretend for a moment that the only green cards available in the kingdom are the provinces, duchies, and estates. So if you're playing a two-player game, it takes a certain number of points to lock up half of the VP. Now, with the presence of a cursing attack, the curses can make it a little funny, but once your opponent has scored that many points, once your opponent has bought his 6th province, it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to come back, even if you're generating $50 and 5, 6, 7 buys every turn. So, the presence of alternative ways to score points, victory point tokens, additional green cards, will allow you to score more points. More points are available to be scored, which gives you more time to catch up. So this is something to think about. The presence of other ways to score points usually pushes you towards an engine. So, you've assessed the strength of an engine, the limitations of your engine. You've thought about the interaction you have with your opponent, and you've thought about the money deck that could counterbalance what's going on. There are also combo decks that create a different feel of a game that maybe one of you could play or one of you could counter. So now you know what's going on, but how do you decide which strategy to go with? Well, the answer to that question is not something you probably want to hear. You want to play a lot of games, see how they feel, and you want to get a gauge for how strong everything is, and do what you think is going to be strongest. I wish I could tell you something that would have you understand it quicker, but playing lots of games, and playing lots of engine games particularly, going out, finding the engines, seeing what you can do, seeing how fast you can get it built, that's going to give you a feel for this more than anything else. This is actually why Dominion is fun. Dominion is fun because you get to assess the kingdom, and you get to decide what you're going to do, and then you actually get to play it out and see how well it works. And there's a lot more interaction involved when you think of it in this manner than I'm going to buy my Smithy and my money, and hopefully my shuffle-up will give me more provinces before my opponent gets them. That's not how Dominion works, and that's not fun Dominion. So with this video, we've gone through the entire methodical approach that I like to use when I assess a kingdom. I encourage you to try it. It usually results in me not missing things, although it's not impossible for me to miss stuff. And to close off this video, I want to do an example here of if I was seeing this kingdom for the first time, how I would assess it, and I'm just going to think out loud in that process. Okay, we've got two attacks. We've got Witch and Militia. Witch is a cursing attack, so I need to look for ways to deal with curses. Both Upgrade and Steward can trash curses, and Watchtower can defend. So that seems doable, but I'm probably going to want to buy a Witch. Militia could be strong as an early buy, but I don't see it as much of a staple as Witch would be. Let's take a look at trashing. We've got Upgrade and Steward for trashing. Steward is strong trashing, so I'll be able to have whatever size of deck I want, particularly if I get in on the trashing early. What about villages? Well, there's 2 villages available. Draw, there's several draw cards available, so a village draw engine could be what I'm doing here. And where's the plus buy? There's plus buy in Workers Village. So all of the components appear to be here. And there's also attacks to slow my opponent down, additional ways to score points. So it seems like the engine is going to be strong here. All the components are there, and there's a way to overcome attacks and also attack my opponent to slow him down. So how do I get there? How do I get there? That's the later videos, and that's a completely different animal. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you next video.